Item number 2, I guess we did push you back just briefly there, Mr. Lund. Tom, in your packet, there's a copy of the annual report from the Office of Economic Development. Tom's going to give us a little bit more detail.
Okay, Judge, I call Babby anyway.
Very nice of you, Mr. Lund. Thank you, sir.
Marion, any members of the board?
You have before you a copy of our
Annual report. I think I'll go over briefly. I know you got a busy schedule and you'll see in this
report that we went over our budget this year, but we only went over by $300. We did take on some extra expenditures, some extra projects that we hadn't anticipated. One, we hired a Japanese representative, Jiro Hashimoto. He's
coming off Kentucky for 30 years representing their interests in Japan, and he did all the major. He did Toyota. He did our 6 projects here, and he serves as our eyes and ears in Japan. He's very helpful. He's opened several doors for us over in Japan. He works for us exclusively. He's exclusive representative of Marion County in Japan. Another thing we did was attended some trade shows. We went to the
Food processing show in Chicago, and this, we got our Highway 208 industrial park certified with a
food processing park. It's the first one in Kentucky. There's one up in Muncie, Indiana. It's the only other one in this region.
We're trying to, we look at industry, and we know that the food processing industry, no matter how bad the economy gets, people are still going to have to eat. So we think the food processing industry is an area, economic sector that the state has not pursued, and so we're dabbling in the food processing industry. We picked up 35
potential prospects while we're in Chicago. 2 of them have already visited Lebanon.
We're just trying to decide if we're barking up the right tree there, chasing these food processing industries.
Another one of our goals has always been
to improve our Marion County Area Technology Center, and we've made we feel some giant steps this year. We've got a representative of industry up there who's putting manufacturing systems into the technical school, and I think that's going to be a real asset to us. These 8 industries, we didn't have any new locations that you'd speak of. We had a couple small ones, but nothing large. But we did have 8 industries that expanded, and I think already this year we've got 4 more that indicate they're going to expand. So it just, I think it's a tribute to the quality of the industries that we have located here in our community, and a positive thing. We work, Karen King in our office works with training these employees. Last year she got $155,000 training funds, which were used to train various skills and she also held 5 job fairs which were attended by over 1,000 potential employees.
She's also got a couple committees that she's formed, HR managers, human resource managers, and safety managers, and
she's provided training for them for a lot of the new regulations. We were able to assist the county with the purchase of Marion County Industries. We were tickled to do that. I think we're still waiting for that project to be completed, but we were tickled to do that. And we gave the Lebanon Fire Department a 5-acre tract out of our Highway 208 food processing park. We purchased purchased a strategically located 10-acre parcel along 2154 bypass. This is land adjacent to Joy Mining and Toyota Boshiku Manufacturing. Both companies have indicated an interest in expanding, and matter of fact, we can't take any more.
Back hurting just a little bit. I'm good.
Okay, and then we've always been involved, since I've been here, we've always been involved with Main Street, and we reorganized the Main Street Committee last year. We've got new people serving on that committee, and I think it's going to make a big difference to what goes on along Main Street. We help provide funding for two roads into our Crossroads Industrial Park and Road at Village Way to accommodate some industry. We've got a mistake, of course. We did experience a very negative event, closing of Marion Adjustment Center. We lost 195 jobs in that process. That, of course, impacted the local economy and provided a lot of hardship on a lot of businesses that are providing goods and services to MAC. I would tell you that when updates of people from MAC are going to visit, we're looking to find out, investigate ways that we might utilize that facility. We might work with the prison corporation. There's an error in your report that says that the Marion County occupational tax increased last year. It did not. But the city and the county's combined occupational taxes exceeded the year of 2012. The county, due to the loss of employment at MAC, occupational taxes collected by the county were less than they were in 2012. Overall, they were increased. You'll see in this report our program of work for the coming year. A few highlights, and I won't go through all that. We added a new strategy to work with entrepreneurship, and also tried to establish retail incubators in that area. And I know Jackie Wicker has been interested in some retail out there in Bradfordsville. This is what we're intended to do with this strategy, is to help establish some retail in other areas of the county and along Main Street here in Lebanon. We want to support the industry coordinator of the Technology Center. Of course, as I mentioned, we think that's a real asset. For the first time, we decided to agree to join the Bluegrass South Alliance, which is a group of counties surrounding us, Boyle, Washington, Nelson, and south of us, a couple counties south of us. What they do is they join together with a state recruiting effort to recruit new industries, and usually they charge each county a $20,000 fee. We join together with a group of counties and got all these counties in for $20,000. We share the cost, and the board has agreed to become involved in that program. Discuss the retail things that we try and be working on. We're going to continue to develop and try and promote the Limestone Branch Distillery. This is a project that's really growing fast in the community. Develop streets and crossroads. New streets out there. Got some financial things we're doing with Crossroads. We're trying to determine how other communities around us, how they market their industrial properties and how they set the prices on their industrial land. And also we want to continue, of course, funding projects, the Marion County Areas Technology Center, and we want to work to maintain a Japanese staff. So these are some of the new things that were put into our strategic plan for the coming year. We've got in there a copy of our December end of the year budget, and where we spent our money and where our income came from. And with that, our board is committed to continue to be aggressive of trying to attract jobs and industries into the area. And with that, do you have any questions that I might answer?
We kind of talk about every year about trying to get something in for the youth. Are we any closer with that? Is that something we bring up?
That's something we bring up every year.
Right.
It's a difficult thing. There's been several attempts to do various things, but it's down to dollars.
I know it has to be a private deal, but do you hear anything at all on family entertainment, like cinema, bowling alley, or anything? You have anybody?
We've had discussions. Cinema seems to be a thing of the past.
You see all these people coming in to let them in work, and then they're taking their money back to another county to spend it.
You know, it's cinemas are so expensive, and everybody's switching to videos now and other forms of entertainment. It's hard for a theater to invest $1 million, and when their income comes from selling popcorn.
Bowling alley or anything.
And we've had people look at the bowling alley and consider it, still under consideration. I know we need it. It's a big investment.
Oh, I understand that.
Is there any,
Looks like some of these people's getting all this money off of building, spec buildings could, you know.
You don't make money on spec buildings.
They don't?
You have to give them away more.
is there
The man that builds them don't make no money? I can't believe that.
Is there any talk of any type of all the fast foods on the other end of town and on the upper end of town? There's a lot more stuff than used to be up there. Is there any kind of interest on some kind of a thing on toward the Kroger's, the high school, the Coopers up in that way is for some kind of a, you know?
Well, we've sure recommended that location several times. It seems to us to be a natural location with all those.
More than used to, but of course everything's bunched up down here, but
There isn't much on that side of town for those.
for ours, you know, we're like a fast food place or something.
You think your bypass would have to help with that? Before it had to go through town, now the bypass makes a lot shorter trip.
Yeah. Of course, you know, Walmart moving to the south side of town, there's development out there.
Everybody seems to follow Walmart, don't they?
Let me ask you a question, Tom. Whatever, I know back here about a year or so ago, whatever came of the court case or whatever in regards to the property holdings of the industrial board or were taxable, whatever came of that, and I didn't know. Oh, you are? Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. What are you guys considering doing about that? Or, Joe, do you know what their options are? Or?
I don't think our options are.
It's taxes.
I mean, the options are clear that the way their setup is, I mean, their property is subject to property taxes just like everybody else is. And, you know, and really the only options that I'm aware of, I know some of the other communities have formed economic development boards, statutory boards, to be the landholding entity, and under those circumstances, if you formed an economic development district or something like that and transfer the property in there, then it would be exempt from property taxation. That would take action by the Economic Development Foundation, and also would take action by the court in actually forming forming that board. The makeup of the board would probably be a little, well, it wouldn't necessarily have to be different. It's just that the statute provides for the Economic Development Board that's formed by the county. I think that the membership of the board is I don't, now without looking at it, don't know if that's by the county judge with concurrence of the court, and then I think there's probably some provision that maybe a city of a certain class might have some input on the members of that board. It's been a long time since I've looked at it. I mean, that's what some of the other communities have done.
Well, let me ask you a question. Who has to pay those taxes? Is that the industrial board, or is that the court, or? Okay, so you guys.
They pay them out of
We
there.
paid like 20,000 in taxes this year for the first time.
Yeah, which directly affects your budget, right? That's correct. So that comes out of the budget that
Well,
we
that's
provide.
paid by the industrial foundation.
Okay.
Those dollars come out of the foundation.
Those taxes paid,
Come out of the Office of Economic Development, they come out of the foundation.
Those taxes.
paid to the county?
Yep.
Well, some of them, I mean, a small percentage of them are paid for the county. The biggest part of your tax bill is actually to the state and the school districts.
Gotcha. So it sounds like
But it
County-
was a Supreme
county's-
Court decision, so to overturn that would probably be difficult. And as Joe said, the only way to become tax exempt again is to change from a foundation to an industrial authority, which is a tool of the county.
So let me ask you this, why would, just outside looking in, then, and that, tell me what your thought is, Joe, but, you know, outside looking in, because I didn't know how that case went, I didn't know if they threw it out or what, but evidently they didn't. So why would we pay, why would you pay the $20,000 when, for example, like, you know, your budget's increased this year, which is fine, I see the justification there, but why would you pay the $20,000 when you can file for the tax exemption? Why are you sending the state, why are you sending the tax money when you wouldn't have to? I guess is what I'm saying. There's $20,000 savings there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's some positive things, there's some negative things. Positive things, or the negative things are with an authority, you're subject to wage and benefit laws. Davis Bacon Act, I believe, kicks in with an authority and foundation making the board that.
Yeah.
There are some pluses are, of course, you don't pay the taxes.
Yeah. What, I guess, that's fine. Let me ask you this, would you mind looking into that, getting back to the court so we can see exactly, I mean, because,
Already has looked into it, I know he sent me an email on it.
well, I haven't seen,
Back in time, the court case,
yeah, because I think it would help Tom, I think it would help, well, I think it would help the industrial board, you know, to be able to look at that and see if there's anything that the court can do to help them. That'd be great. If we can help you out, I mean, we want to. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Tom.
We really appreciate the county's cooperation on our code circle.
For people, I don't think I've ever come to the county.
Keep your fingers crossed.
That's a big plus.
First for everything.
That's right.
Thank
you, Tom.
Good idea.
Mr. Lund? Thank you, sir.
Hey, whenever Kevin prints out these occupational tax receipts, it's pretty evident that the investment's been worthwhile, so.
Well, you know it has, but at
Thank you, Tom.
and it's,
Thank you, sir.
and obviously you're right, without the occupational tax, I mean, we've all been to counties and we see what they have, but it would be a different county, a different vision, a picture of this county if we didn't have it, but just keep our eyes open, you know, this year thus far, and the fourth quarter per se in the fiscal year is always the biggest collection point, but thus far through this year, we're down about 5% in comparison to last year as far as what we received in revenue, so just keep an eye on that so as we move forward to the new budget, just to kind of know where we are.
Well, we were reluctant to raise it last year, but it looked like, you know, the previous 3 years had been above what we actually put in there. I don't see any way that we'll slip below our budget amount, but it is a shame because it looked like it was going to be a trend that's not going to end. But it looks, you know, just looking at the 3 quarters that we've seen so far, it's really kind of surprising because I've sat in Industrial Foundation meetings and heard them talk about the expansions of the local industry, which to me it seemed like there were probably more people working here than than ever before, and yet the occupational taxes are not indicative of that necessarily.
Well, I guess the corrections facility, has a large part of this change here. So it just goes to show you that why you want to be diversified in your services and your local industry and so forth, because just with MAC, for example, you can see the numbers. So when we lose a facility, I mean, we want to work to retain our current facility. When we lose one, I mean, it's as Ross Perot would say, it's a giant sucking sound.
Zero kills an average.
Yes, it will.
Plus,
Zero will kill
that
an
also
average.
affect the Loretta project, the sewer.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
They were big input into that, and that hurt them.
Another thing, these occupational taxes, but what I'm hearing just talking to people, I don't think the people working the amount of overtime they worked before.
No.
We've got more people working, but less overtime, and overtime generates a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the other note too, while we're on this real quick, and I appreciate your help on this, County Attorney, but I wondered about that because, I want to make sure that from a taxable standpoint that, and obviously it seems that the industrial board is responsible for paying taxes on the property holdings. I think that's something that the court, we need to look into to ensure, because again, that's, as Mr. Lund said, $20,000. I thought it was a little higher than that, but that's $20,000 that's being paid to the state that can go back into this budget and so forth. So that's, that's a lot of money, and if we can set the system up or set the industrial board up in regards to being in compliance with that court ruling, then that's, number one, that's abiding by the law. Number two is that it's $20,000 or so back in these coffers. So so that 99,000 or that 98,000 we're short on our occupational tax just dropped to 79. So for every penny saved is a penny earned. So if you don't mind, if you
He said most of it went
at
to school.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest percentage of the school.
65% of it.
Yeah, but it still
63,
comes back.
65%. Yeah, there's some other things that entered into that discussion. I've been a part of that for the last couple of years. The county would technically, I guess, have to hold all the assets. Industrial Foundation, as a governing board, would then have to ask the county for any kind of release of property or whatever, which I don't know if that would be a problem, but as it has existed in the past, some of the discussions and some of the, I guess, property needs have all been able to be handled by the foundation and without, I guess, having to get permission from the county. In other words, release of a spec building or some of the properties that they've acquired, even the addition of 10 acres out there adjacent to Joy Mining and things like that, would probably all have to go through another step.
Well,
and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I was going to say, I mean, obviously there's a reason that the Supreme Court upheld the ruling, because it justified itself with its merits. But, and I understand it's always, there's good and bads, give and takes, but it's no different than just like the funding. I mean, as Mr. Lund said, anytime he's came to this court, or we've always been there to fund them and so forth. So if you're willing to come up and ask for the check, you ought to be willing to keep the skin in the game. So
right.
So if you can look at that and find out, we'll go from there. Thank you.
Non-profit or not-for-profit, kind of a public good entity. I'm not as smart as the Supreme Court, but I definitely don't agree with their conclusions. So. Okay, item number 3, related to the MCI, the Marion County Industries, and the acceptance of funds. We had to amend our budget to accept those funds. You saw a notice in the paper this week for the combined notice to request release of those funds. So we need to have a second reading and adoption of the budget ordinance. If I could get a motion on that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Elder?
Yes.
Mr. Smothers? Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Masterson?
Yes.
Unanimous.